The Secret of Secrets. Unlocking the Inner Path with Shaykh Abd, al-Qadir al-Jilani. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. In the vast and shimmering ocean of Islamic spirituality, few figures shine as brilliantly as Shaykh Abd, al-Qadir al-Jilani d. 1166 CE. He is a towering master, a jurist of the Hanbali school, a powerful preacher, and the founder of the Qadiri Sufi order. One of the most widespread and enduring spiritual brotherhoods in the history of Islam, his life and teachings have inspired generations of seekers, and his name is synonymous with spiritual heroism and divine love. While his sermons, collected in works like Futa al-Gave, are a source of profound spiritual guidance, his book, The Secret of Secrets, Sirr al-Asrar, stands as a profound and often esoteric guide to the inner dimensions of the Sufi path. For the traditional Qadiri lineage, this book is considered a masterpiece of spiritual pedagogy, a key that unlocks the hidden wisdom of the inner journey. It is a text that moves beyond the exoteric forms of worship to reveal the spiritual reality that animates them. Though some scholars have debated its authorship within the living tradition of the Qadiri order, its wisdom is attributed to the great Shaykh himself, and its teachings are an indispensable part of the spiritual curriculum. Our discourse today will be a comprehensive, structural, and exhaustive scholarly exploration of this profound spiritual text. In this extensive script, we will argue that The Secret of Secrets is a systematic and practical guide to the spiritual journey. A book that reveals that the ultimate secret is not a magical formula, but the purification of the heart and the reunification of the soul with its divine origin. We will meticulously unpack its wisdom, from the metaphysical purpose of creation to the practical disciplines of the spiritual path. We will delve into its teachings on the levels of the self-Nafs, the inseparability of outer and inner knowledge, and the ultimate realization of divine unity. This is not just a lecture on an ancient book. It is a profound journey into the heart of Sufism, a journey to discover the most guarded secrets of the inner life, secrets that have the power to transform the human soul. Part 1. The Purpose of Creation and the Journey of the Soul. The book The Secret of Secrets begins not with a legal or theological treatise, but with a profound metaphysical question. Why was man created? Shaykh Abd al-Qadir al-Jilani opens the book by addressing the very purpose of human existence, grounding his entire spiritual discourse in a foundational cosmology. He argues that the creation of human beings was not an arbitrary act, but the culmination of a divine plan rooted in the primordial love of Allah for himself. He explains that Allah, in his perfect and absolute singularity, willed to be known, and so he created the universe and humanity as a mirror to reflect his divine attributes. This concept is central to the book's entire premise. Al-Jilani posits that every human being carries within them a divine secret, a spark of the divine essence, which is the Ruh, or the soul. This soul is not of this material world. It is a spiritual entity that originated in the divine presence, a realm of pure light and intimacy. The soul's descent into the physical body and the material world is described as a journey of forgetting. It is an exile from its true home, and the purpose of human life, therefore, is to remember its origin, to rediscover its true identity, and to embark on the journey back to its divine source. This journey back is the central theme of the book. Al-Jilani describes the human being as a duality of the physical and the spiritual. The body, with its base desires and attachments to the material world, is a vessel that can either be a prison for the soul or a vehicle for its return. The soul Ruh is the immortal part of the human being, a spark of divine light that yearns for its origin. The struggle of human existence is the struggle between these two forces, the earthly gravity of the body and the divine yearning of the soul. The path of Sufism, as articulated in the book, is the science of liberating the soul from the prison of the body and its desires. To explain this profound concept, Al-Jilani uses the analogy of a king who, out of love for a loyal servant, sends him on a mission to a far-off land. The servant, upon arriving, becomes so engrossed in the material comforts of the new land that he forgets his king and his mission. The Secret of Secrets is a wake-up call to this forgetful servant. It is a reminder of the king, the original mission, and the path back home. The book provides a practical and systematic methodology for the soul to remember its divine origin, to purify itself from the attachments of the material world, and to embark on the journey back to the presence of Allah. The very first secret, therefore, is the secret of our origin, that we are not just a product of this earth, but spiritual beings on a journey back to the divine. Part 2. The levels of the self-nafs and the purification of the heart. One of the most crucial and practical aspects of the secret of secrets is its detailed exposition of the levels of the self-nafs and the methodology for its purification. Al-Jilani, like other great Sufi masters, teaches that the spiritual journey is an inner battle, continuous struggle against the lower ego-driven self. The book breaks down the nafs into 3 distinct stages, providing a clear map for the seeker to understand their own spiritual state and to know what spiritual practices are necessary to progress to the next level. Nafs ol-amara, the commanding self. This is the lowest and most primal level of the self. It is the ego that commands one to do evil. Al-Jilani describes it as a state of heedlessness, arrogance, and a continuous pursuit of worldly desires. It is a self that is a slave to its passions, and is in a state of continuous rebellion against the divine will. The human being in this state is a prisoner of their own desires, a slave to their lower nature. The book provides a clear diagnosis of this spiritual disease, explaining that its remedy lies in a rigorous adherence to the divine law Sharia, a sincere repentance Toba, and a continuous struggle against its demands. The purpose of this stage of the journey is to tame the beast of the ego, to bring it into submission to the divine will. Nafs al-Lawwama, the blaming self. This is the second and intermediate level of the self. It is the conscience, the part of the human psyche that is awakened to the reality of its spiritual struggle. The Nafs al-Lawwama is a self that, while it still commits sins and makes mistakes, immediately regrets them and blames itself. It is a state of spiritual awakening, a stage where the human being has become aware of the duality of their existence and is engaged in a continuous struggle against the lower self. Al-Jilani teaches that the remedy for this stage is a continuous practice of self-examination, muhasabah, a constant remembrance of Allah dhikr, and a deep reflection on one's actions. The purpose of this stage is to strengthen the conscience, to cultivate a state of spiritual vigilance, and to prepare the heart for the next level of the journey. Nafs al-Mutmiyana, the tranquil self. This is the highest and most profound level of the self, a spiritual destination of the Sufi path. It is the self that has been purified of its base desires and has found its peace and contentment in Allah. It is the state of spiritual perfection, the state where the human being's will has become completely aligned with the divine will. Al-Jilani describes it as a state of profound intimacy with Allah, a state of spiritual serenity and unshakable certainty. He teaches that this state is the result of a rigorous spiritual journey, a journey that involves a continuous practice of remembrance, contemplation, and devotion. The secret of this state is the purification of the heart. The book argues that the heart is the spiritual center of the human being, the seat of faith, and the house of Allah. The spiritual journey is, in essence, the science of purifying the heart of all its spiritual diseases, such as pride, envy, and greed, so that it can become a pure mirror that reflects the divine light. The entire methodology of the book is a practical guide for this profound process of inner purification. Part 3. The Outer and Inner Knowledge and the Path of the Sufi. The Secret of Secrets is a text that seamlessly integrates the outer and inner dimensions of Islam. Shaykh Abd al-Qadir al-Gilani makes it clear that the spiritual journey is not an abandonment of the divine law, but a deeper embrace of it. For him, a true seeker must be a master of both outer knowledge, ilm, il-Zahiri, and inner knowledge, ilm, al-Batini. Outer knowledge, the Sharia. This is the knowledge of the divine law, the rules and regulations that govern the lives of Muslims. Al-Jilani argues that a seeker must first and foremost be a master of the Sharia. The Sharia is the protective shell of the spiritual journey. It is the foundation, the framework, and the set of divine instructions that protect the seeker from error. He warns against a form of mysticism that abandons the divine law, arguing that such a path is a path of deception and spiritual anarchy. The spiritual journey, in his view, is a continuous effort to perfect the observance of the Sharia, to perform every outward act of worship with sincerity, love, and a profound sense of divine presence. Inner knowledge, the Tariqah. This is the knowledge of the inner realities of the faith. The spiritual methodology that is aimed at purifying the heart and achieving a profound and intimate relationship with Allah. This is the Tariqah, the Sufi path. Al-Jilani argues that while the Sharia is the outer form, the Tariqah is its inner essence. It is the science of the heart, the art of the inner life. You're at the dinner! The book provides a detailed and systematic guide to the practices and disciplines of the Sufi path, which are aimed at awakening the heart and liberating the soul. The book outlines a number of key practices that are central to the Qadiri path. Dhikr, remembrance of Allah. This is the spiritual engine of the journey. Al-Jilani teaches that dhikr is not just a verbal repetition, but a continuous, rhythmic remembrance of Allah that purifies the heart and fills it with divine light. He explains its different forms and its role in awakening the heart from its state of heedlessness. Muraqabah, contemplation. This is the practice of contemplative meditation, where the seeker sits in silence and contemplates the divine presence. It is a practice that is aimed at silencing the mind, calming the heart, and opening the soul to divine inspiration. Suba, companionship. Al-Jilani places immense importance on the role of the spiritual guide, or the Shaykh. He argues that the spiritual journey is too treacherous to be undertaken alone. The Shaykh is a living embodiment of the tradition, spiritual physician, who can diagnose the diseases of the heart and provide the seeker with the necessary spiritual remedies. Khalwa, seclusion. This is the practice of solitary retreat for deep spiritual work. Al-Jilani argues that a seeker must, at times, withdraw from the world to engage in a profound and uninterrupted communion with Allah. The purpose of this seclusion is to silence the noise of the world and to listen to the whispers of the soul. For Al-Jilani, the Sharia and the Tariqah are not in conflict. They are two wings of the same bird. A bird cannot fly with only one wing. A seeker cannot achieve true spiritual excellence without the rigorous observance of the divine law and the profound inner journey of the spiritual path. Part 4. The Station of the Friends of Allah and the Secret of Divine Unity. In the final sections of The Secret of Secrets, Shaykh Abd al-Qadir, Al-Jilani turns his attention to the ultimate station's maqamat of the spiritual journey and the profound secret that lies at its culmination. He discusses the concept of the Awliya Allah, the friends of Allah, a topic that is central to Sufi spirituality. He argues that the friends of Allah are not a mythical group, but a living reality, a class of human beings who, through their relentless spiritual struggle, have achieved a state of profound intimacy and proximity to the divine. They are the living embodiment of the prophetic ethics, the inheritors of the spiritual light, and the spiritual heart of the community. Al-Jilani provides a clear and unambiguous description of the signs of the friends of Allah. He argues that their sign is not their ability to perform miracles, but their unwavering adherence to the divine law, their profound love for Allah and His Prophet, and their unwavering commitment to serving humanity. He sees them as the spiritual physicians of the world, people who have not only perfected their own souls, but have the divine authority to guide others on the path of inner transformation. The ultimate secret of the book, however, is the secret of divine unity, or Tawhid. Al-Jilani argues that, while Tawhid is a theological concept that every Muslim believes in, for the Sufi, it is a lived, experiential reality. The journey of the soul, the purification of the heart, and the spiritual disciplines are all aimed at this ultimate secret, the annihilation of the ego fana and the realization of divine unity. Fana is not a merger or a fusion with the essence of Allah. That would be a theological impossibility. It is the annihilation of the false, ego-driven self and the complete submission of the soul to the divine will. It is a state where the seeker's will has become completely aligned with the divine will. The state that follows fana is baka, or subsistence in Allah. A state where the individual subsists in Allah, and their every thought, action, and intention is a manifestation of the divine will. This is the ultimate secret of the book, the secret that is the purpose of the entire spiritual journey. The secret is that we are not separate from the divine, but are a part of a single, indivisible reality. The secret is that the ultimate goal of human life is to rediscover our divine origin. to purify our hearts, and to live a life of continuous divine awareness. The Secret of Secrets, therefore, is not a book of esoteric mysteries, but a profound and practical guide to the ultimate reality of our existence. That the most profound secret is not hidden in the stars or in ancient texts, but in the depths of our own heart, waiting to be rediscovered. Thank you for joining us on this intellectual and spiritual journey. Please subscribe to our channel to continue our exploration of the rich and profound essence of Sufism.